Welcome back to Rollin with Olan. I'm Jeff Olin, your host. So today we have a different dynamic. Today is really an interesting show. Today I have talent agent Jeff Wolfman and one of his actresses, Alex Camacho. Welcome, guys. There he is
It
pointing,
is
and
like the
it's
Brady
the Brady
Bunch.
Bunch.
Right.
It is, right? It's great to see you guys. Great to see you.
Yes.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see
You
you
too,
too.
Alex.
Nice to
So,
meet
Alex, you were born in Phoenix, Arizona, to a single mom who was a bus driver as well. You're English, Scottish, and you come from Spanish descent. How was it growing up, and did you ever have any kind of dreams of being an actress?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I had a really great childhood. My mom was a single mom, but we did a lot of stuff together, camping, things like that. But I think being a single mom, it was a lot of responsibility, a lot of work. And so often I would find myself in my bedroom watching the VHS collection. And so from a really early age, I was going through her, Rolodex of VHS and pretty much knew
Didn't you
from
do plays as a
one of my
young
earliest
child
memories
too?
that I wanted to
Yeah.
be doing what they were doing. Yeah. I did. I started my first play when I was 6 years old, and then I did that all through high school, and I did
What was
a
the
performing
play?
arts group, touring,
Yeah.
and
What was the
I was
play
all
when you were
in
6?
for most of my youth, all of my youth, pretty much. Yeah. That was you love bringing this up. Once on oh my gosh, the rooftop. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting
He
the name
knows
of the
it.
play. You
He
know
knows
it,
it. And
Jeff.
don't get confused. There is two Jeffs here. Jeff Wolfman is Alex's agent. Yeah, and we
No, Jeff,
established
you
that
know it.
he's her agent. So, this is actually this podcast today. I wanted to bring this in. It's a different dynamic having an agent and an actress on. And so, do you guys talk all the time? Because obviously, you have a really good rapport together.
It's the strangest thing.
I
If
bet
you
it
don't
is.
mind, Jeff, I'm gonna just
What?
say, like, I've had plenty of agent manager meetings. Not recently. And I've never had one quite like the one that I've had with Jeff. I always say, like, finding a good agent, finding a good manager is like falling in love. It's really hard and you're going to date a lot of doozies, but when you find the right one, it's like it just hits you. Like you just know. And in my meeting with Jeff, I think we've talked about this before. I think it was 3.5 hours, our very first meeting together. We just clicked. He checked all my boxes. He just, to me, felt like the perfect rep for me. And we just really got
Alex,
on.
what was it
So
about
it's
him? Because
great.
obviously you talk about that. As far as actors and actresses trying to come up with the right agent, it's so hard for so many. And I want to get it more into that with Jeff as
Yeah.
well. But what was it exactly for you that you knew that he was the guy for you?
I came in with a list of things that I wanted out of a rep. And I can tell you what those things are, but basically I had three things, three major things, and then like two secondary things. And he checked every single one of those boxes. And the secondary thing, which feels more like a first thing, but was like for me the clencher was that he
Mm-hmm.
was moral. I don't know why that mattered so much to me, but he just seemed really moral. Like he cared, like he wanted to do the right thing. I want to do the right thing. That really mattered to me. And then obviously, really important thing that seemed to really jump out at me was that he just really seemed to dig who I was as an actor. If you're an agent, I want you to love my work. So
Yeah.
when you're talking to casting, that's coming
Yeah,
through.
well,
So that felt really good.
Jeff is moral, and I've known him for a long time, and he really is he's so much that he really pushes his actors and actresses, and he talks about them like there's literally he puts up a billboard on all of them, on all of you. He really talks highly about you,
Yeah.
and Jeff,
Yeah.
you were. Jeff was born in Toronto, Canada, and you were a professional tennis player for a while. You're very athletic. I usually see Jeff on Fridays after he's done playing tennis. I see him briefly. But Jeff, tell us about becoming an agent. Tell us
Well,
about how
first of
this
all,
all
for the
happened for
record,
you.
just so Alex's 6-year-old play gets
There he
um,
goes pushing.
equaled here. When I was 8 years old, I did my first play. It was at Camp New Moon. The camp put on a play, and I was 8 years old, and it was Cinderella, and I got to play the slipper holder. I remember I had one line, and the line was, "It fits." The thing is, the little girl playing Cinderella was a young girl, and the shoe was a size 9, and it was bigger than the girl. And when I yelled, "It fits," the audience laughed their head off, and I went, "Hmm, I can get into that." So that nope, didn't go to
But
the
you
route of
didn't
that.
go the route of
So
acting.
I started
Instead,
off.
you
I
went
started
into
off.
so you
I
know.
wanted to. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but I wanted to be an expert at the three walks of life, which was academics, athletics, and the arts. The athletics, I started playing hockey. Wanted to be a professional hockey player, like every red-blooded Canadian. I transferred into tennis. I played professional tennis. And then I went to university. I got my degrees in microbiology and then a master's in immunology. I'm a published scientist. One of the biggest things that interested me with Alex is that she is a neuroscientist. She has her degree in neuropsychology, I believe, or neuroscience. Yeah, but the fact
Yeah.
that she was a
Well, it's just a
scientist
bachelor's,
too.
but yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
has
went
that
that
science
route.
mind
Arizona
just
State
went, oh,
University. Yeah.
really? And then I came to
Cool.
LA. So I did the academics, I did the athletics, and now I had to
Yeah.
defeat the arts. And so I became a writer. I came to Los Angeles to become a writer. Here's the interesting thing, especially for all the actors, all the people in the entertainment business that you got to understand. When it comes to athletics, the harder you work, the more hours you put into it, the more successful you're going to get. When it comes to academics, the same thing is true. The harder you work, the longer you study, the more you do your research, you're going to succeed in the academic world. When it comes to the entertainment world, it's a different animal. You can work your butt off,
Hmm.
you can do everything you have to do to succeed, and sometimes you won't get ahead, which is the worst part of this business. However, the harder you work, the more opportunities come your way, and you find a way to take advantage of those opportunities. There are times that will help you get to where you want to get. So there's only one rule in the entertainment business, and that is you will not succeed if you quit. But if you don't quit and you keep going, the opportunities will present itself. Now, whether you take advantage of them or they work out for you, that's another thing. But just finishing up the background. So I came here to be an artist, and then about a dozen
Mm.
years ago or so, my agent, we were in a writer's strike, and I was on strike, and my agent asked me to help him out with his agency, and the agency was all the agents were boutique agencies were going bust. They were closing their doors. A lot of big ones like Endeavor and William Morris were going bankrupt. They had to merge. So he asked if I would help, and I said, sure, I'll help you out. But here's the thing, you're a literary agent. Let's be bold. While everyone contracts and gets smaller, let's expand and open up a talent department. And he said, go ahead. So I opened up the talent department, and with one criteria, I wanted to find the best actors in the city who are underrepresented. And you go to all these events to find actors, plays, showcases, you meet them, and then you'll meet a lot of people, thousands and thousands. I get 20, 25 emails a day. Once in a blue moon, you find a gem, and you find someone who is just going to be a star right there.
That's her.
Oh, okay, Alex.
It's
So
funny
Yeah.
because on my
whoever I'm
side you're
pointing
pointing to
to,
Yeah.
Jeff.
it's Alex.
That's
Alex
technology,
is
right?
that
I mean, it's,
once in a
yeah.
lifetime
You're
um, actor who's you just know she's got everything going for her. She can act circles around most people. The camera loves her.
Mm,
She makes great choices. There's every scene that she does, she brings
mm,
to life, and it's very much like Tom Hanks, because I listened to Tom Hanks explain what he does. And when you see Tom Hanks, we were talking about that, Jeff, earlier. Tom Hanks isn't the best looking man on the planet, but when he's on the screen, your eyes go to Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He's just, there's something about him that draws you in. That's Alex. There's something about her. It doesn't matter who's on the screen, your eyes are going to Alex. And
Yeah. Well, look, you really are a great actress, Alex, and it's Jeff. You definitely saw that diamond in the rough with her, absolutely. And Alex, I know you're going to go. You're going to. I mean, you're
thanks.
continuously rising. You're a rising star. Tell us how you started though your professional career. Because we've established how you started when you were a kid, and then you went to Arizona State
Yeah,
University, and then how did you get into it? Because there's a lot of people
yeah,
that are listening, no doubt, that want to know, and then I want to get your perspective on it, and then I'd like to get Jeff's as well of how
yeah,
people could do that.
yeah. I'll be real brief about it. I At 18, I knew I wanted to be an actor still. I wanted it so bad. And then I had a family member just sort of get into my head that, you're not one in a million. Maybe it's even too late for you. And maybe you're not even pretty enough to do this. And literally, you're not one out of a million. And that's what it takes to be successful in that business. And I really cared about this person's opinion in my life, still do. But I believed him. And, he said, maybe you should do something more important for the world, something less selfish. And so that's why I went into the field that I went into. I
Yeah.
wanted to help cure Alzheimer's and dementia. That's what I wanted to do because I thought it was a more helpful path. And then what I realized, it's all good because I went, I learned, I had experiences, I blew up my life a couple times. I traveled the world in a van. I had all kinds of amazing experiences. I
Hmm.
fell in love multiple times. It was great. Fell into heartbreak several times too. And then by the time I had went through all that and there was nothing left but like a box in my car, I just was like, what do I want to do? And someone's like, well, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you do? And I was like, acting. And they're like, well, why not? And so I picked up right where I left off. I went right back into classes and schools and I started from the bottom. And from there, I just created a goal sheet. Where do I want to be in 10 years? 5, a year, 6
Hmm.
months, 1 month, tomorrow. And everything led to me to where I am today because of that goal sheet and because of
Well said. I think
everywhere I've
that's
been
I
since.
think it's so
And
important, and especially not to necessarily take what everybody says because there's a lot of naysayers out there, especially in our industry. You've got to go with and I've said it before. You got to believe in yourself first and foremost, and you have absolutely done that to get where you are right
yes.
now. And Jeff, on your behalf, what transformed you? I mean, I know you had this whole thing about like when you were a writer, but what transformed you into not only being an agent but staying an agent?
uh,
Mm, mm-hmm. Good question.
being an agent is kind of, I mean, it's cliche, but it's somewhat of a dream maker. You're literally working 24/7 to succeed in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
It's hard to compete against the CAAs and the ICMs and the William Morris and all that. And it's a boutique agency. We rep about 150 clients. And like I said, it's a cliche, but there's nothing feels better when an actor books a job, especially a job that they really want. And you get to tell them that they booked the job, which leads us to the next story of Alex booking her first job with me. You want to tell it?
He does love this one.
Now, see, the only fun I
I
get
just
is
cried.
is
I just cried.
when
That's
an
all there
actor
is
gets
to
their
it.
first job, their very first job. I get to play around a little bit, so I'll always talk to an actor and let them know that there's a big problem. that the producers with Alex, what happened was, um, we were having a
Yes.
conversation earlier, and I'm a huge Beatles fan, and Alex is a huge Led Zeppelin fan. She loves the Beatles too, by the way, or I wouldn't rep her. But she's she was a Led Zeppelin fan, so and I told her, Led Zeppelin, what do you mean Pink
Nice.
Floyd is better than Led Zeppelin? And she said, no, Led Zeppelin's better than Pink Floyd. So she had booked the job. The producer said, let me know that she's got the job. This was a lead in a Lifetime movie. This was actually, Alex did two Lifetime movies. She played the lead. She was in almost every scene. She carried both films. They were the two biggest films for Lifetime last year, and she was the lead. So she's like the star of Lifetime for those films for all Lifetime. But this was her first job, first lead in a big in a feature film. So I told her, I called her up and I said, here's the problem. The producers do want to book you, but they have a problem with you. And that is, they definitely don't think Led Zeppelin is the better band than Pink Floyd. So you have to admit that Pink Floyd is better.
Yeah.
To me, it was,
Yeah.
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 And then
It's
she
hilarious.
said,
It's so funny.
she
I
said,
almost forgot to laugh.
wait, no effing way. Did I get the job? And I said, yeah, they want to book you. And that's when she started to cry. So,
and that was the first job. I can only imagine what you've done with other jobs since. But that's look, that's the
Hmm.
dynamic, right, between the agent and the actor. And Jeff, you jumped ahead about Alex's Lifetime movies, which we were going to get into. And we'll get into much more of that. But thank you for bringing that up, Jeff. As you're on this, what is the importance of of having an agent compared to a manager? There's a
right,
lot of people from all over the country that say, "Oh, I've got a manager, or I got an agent, or I've got both." I mean, I've always thought that especially when you're just starting out, you don't necessarily need a manager, somebody to really manage you. You need an agent.
right. Okay.
Can you talk
So,
about that a little bit?
if you remember Entourage, the TV show Entourage, how the agents and managers hate each other. It's kind of like cattle and
Yeah.
sheep. It's not usually like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it is. A manager, and they're going to get pissed off at me. A manager is someone with a business card. So, and that's it. To be a manager, all you need is a business card. You can call yourself a manager, open up an office, and I'm a manager. That's it. For an agent in Los Angeles, in California, you have to be licensed, you have to be bonded, you have to follow all the rules. So it's much stricter to be an agent. That's why also in California, by law, managers are not allowed to solicit work. They do. No one's going to throw them in jail, but they solicit work. They're not allowed to do contracts because they're not bonded. Some of them, well, most of them aren't. Or agents, what we are licensed solicitors. We are solicitors. We are allowed to solicit work in California, and we are allowed to negotiate contracts, sign contracts. We have all the um, rules and regulations through the state of California that we have to follow. And if an agent stiffs an actor, we're bonded, so the actor is going to get their money. Or if a manager stiffs an actor, they're screwed. Um, so that's big difference. Here's the thing: when you're starting out in the business, it's very difficult to get an agent. There's not a whole lot of agents. Think about this: there are a million actors in Los Angeles alone, just Los Angeles. Forget the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Just Los Angeles. There's a million actors. There's maybe only 500 agents in Los Angeles. So it's hard to get an agent. It's very difficult. And they do work their asses off. We work 24/7. We're constantly submitting people, pitching people, booking people, looking for new talent, going through photos and everything. So it's easier when you start out to get a manager. So if you have no resume, you're not in SAG, you're not in the Screen Actors Guild, SAG AFTRA now, it's always easier to get a manager first. And the manager's job is basically to find you an agent. And if they're doing what they're supposed to do, the manager's job is to open doors for you. They're supposed to open doors for find an agent, open doors to meet directors and producers, studio casting heads. So their job is to be the liaison between you and opening doors for the whole industry. The agent's job is to be the liaison between the actor and the casting director, or if they have um, relationships with directors, producers too, that's okay, or writers. But generally, it's the liaison between you and the casting director. If you have an agent, you don't need a manager. You don't. It's more important to have an agent than a manager. If you're starting out in the business, you can't get an agent, get the manager. And then it's not until you become very big and an A-lister, then you can think of having a manager and an agent together. You don't need both. You don't need two people taking 10% of your as a commission of your money when you're in the middle area. So let's simplify. Starting out, if you can't get an agent, get a manager. Your manager's job is to get you an agent. Once you get an agent, you don't need a manager until you become big, and then you're going to need a manager and agent because you've got so many people coming after you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all that. Alex, had you had an agent before Jeff? And if not, how long did it take you to find Jeff?
Yeah, I
Oh,
had dated lots of
that was
doozies,
the truth, huh?
as I mentioned. Yeah, I mean, it really was like falling in love. It took forever, and yeah, it was a roller coaster. And then when I met Jeff, I knew because I had had all kinds of, I had managers, I had agents. I hadn't been through so many, but I had had other experiences. Yeah, and it wasn't until I posted a video of footage I created with my friends that somebody that Jeff knew saw it, and that's how I got my meeting with Jeff.
Well,
It
what
was
she was
I
smart.
didn't
She
submit to
did a
Jeff. It was
video. She
just
did a demo
completely, and then I
reel,
sent him an
and
email. Yeah, I had no
right, which
footage,
was
so I had
brilliant.
I
So
had
she
agents,
created this
but I had
scene
no footage,
and
so
she
I had
put
to
it up
create my
on,
own
I don't know
stuff.
what site, but a friend of mine, Penny Moore, who's a brilliant actress director herself, knows this town, and she's scouring the city for everything. She worked for ICM when she first moved here too. And another genius director actress. She saw this demo reel on whatever site it was, and she emailed it to me and said, "Jeff, take a look at this demo. She's really good. I think she can add something to the agency." And I looked at the demo, and it was a comedy, and it was funny. It was her in a wedding dress freaking out because her, I guess the something.
They put raisins in my
Right, and
coleslaw. It was
she's
a whole
freaking out, and
thing.
then
I was
the
really upset. I was
wedding
literally
director slaps her
hyperventilating.
and says,
Yes.
"Calm down." And I saw it, and I went, "Yeah, this is pretty good. She's got a sense of humor." So I contacted her through the site and said, "Hey, let's take a meeting." She said, "Yeah, we." And then we got together. We took a meeting. It went forever, and she told me about the what she had done, um, what her goals were. Again, for actors starting out, it's really important not to just know where you came from, but to know where you want to go and have a plan of where you want to go. And it's and I tell actors all the time, if your
Yes.
desire is to
Yeah.
be an Olympic athlete or a professional athlete, professional tennis player, professional football, hockey player, what do you have to do to get to that level? To be an Olympic athlete, there's only a few thousand of them in the world, and there's everyone trying to be an Olympic athlete or play at Wimbledon or win the Stanley Cup. What do you have to do? And basically, it's you got to work at least 6 days a week. 4 hours a day to 8 hours a day on your craft. You have to have all the best equipment. You have to have coaches, managers, everything to get there. It's the same thing with acting. If you are not willing to put in the same amount of time and effort as a professional athlete, you won't succeed in this business. There's just too much competition. So I have meetings with actors, I ask them, are you at that level? Do you have that desire in your bones to get there? Because if you're not, nothing is wrong with playing at acting. It is okay to play at acting and have fun with it. Do plays, do student films, make your own stuff. Just go out and enjoy yourself. That's okay, but you don't need an agent for that. You can do it on your own. But if you want to be a professional actor, then you need an agent, but you have to be putting in the time. And then, so the meeting with Alex, and I asked her, where do you want to be? And she told me, and I went, okay, this is a girl who's going to want to be in the Olympics and has the talent to be in the Olympics. So let's see if we can help her.
Yeah. Well, putting in the time is one thing. Like you're talking about. I mean, it's a big thing. It's a huge thing. And putting in the time also comes with studying, and it comes with learning your craft as best you can. And Alex, you had a couple of really great teachers out there in Margie Haber and Ivana. What's it? Exactly. Great
Chubbuck.
teachers. You
Yeah.
need people like that. You need people like that. You need people like Jeff. You need people that are mentors to you, and you have to work on your own craft. I always
Yeah.
say that it's you have to
Very much.
you are your own tool, and you have to sharpen that tool, and you have to sharpen it daily, at least 2 hours a day, working on yourself. And so you've done all that, and you did theater, and you've gotten into like all kinds of different acting jobs now. Like Jeff said, you've already starred in 2 Lifetime movies. You've done other things. Let me ask you, as an actress, now that you have all this knowledge and you've been working at your craft for a while now, what's your process after you get a role? Like after you get the script, what is your process?
Well, so far, the last few projects the only projects I've booked with Jeff, the really big ones, I don't get much time. The first project, I got that Lifetime movie. I think I had 12 days with the script, and on day 6, they changed it. So normally I would want to, take my time, do a lot of character development, but I've just been thrown into the process. So I'm still sort of figuring it out. But the first thing I do is I get to memorizing. I hire a coach right away. I've worked with Ivana Chubbuck on all last 3 of my projects, getting her insight, and I'm using my own personal substitution with that in all my roles, and she's helping me find the depth there. But yeah, I mean, I hit the ground running with memorizing, and then inputting my own personal experiences and
Yeah,
blending it with the
yeah,
character.
definitely working
Yeah,
on your craft and working with Ivana and working with coaches. It's so
yeah.
it's pivotal. You have to have that, and especially if you're going to be at any uh, because you're competing with so many different actors and actresses, like Jeff has said. There's so many different actors out there. Everybody's
Let
trying to
me ask
make
you a
it.
question, Jeff. Let's say
Yeah,
Alex
go
walks
ahead, Jeff.
into your
Yeah.
office, and she's starting out. You don't know her yet, so you don't know that Alex is Meryl Streep good, literally Meryl Streep good.
Yeah.
But you don't know that yet. So she walks in your
Sorry, Meryl.
office. What advice would you give her?
That's a great question. My advice would be, continue doing what she's doing. Because she would, if she's auditioning for me, obviously, I know she's going to be good because that's why we're doing this podcast right now. So I know you're good already. So, but if I didn't know you at all and you were auditioning and I took away from it something that was really just great and positive, I would tell you to continue doing what you're doing. I would say, you obviously have good people
Mm,
around you. I would say you obviously have a good agent. You obviously have you were able to construct in your own mind who you are and where you're going with your career. So I would say continue doing that and then continue working on yourself and doing more because, we're always learning. you know, as a casting director or Jeff as an agent or you as an actress, we always have so much more to learn in this industry. None of us know everything, and we have to continue learning. And that's why there's so many people, even the top of the line actors, that are still taking classes. They still take classes. Some of them, if they want to work on a specific role, they'll take a class. And I've heard this all along. There's a lot of big actors and actresses who will still take a class here and there. So always working on your craft
Yeah.
day after day. I would say just continue doing what you do. And speaking of, you
Yes.
also, like, recently, I think one of your most latest jobs was you were in a movie. You co-starred, I believe, or starred in Dead of Night, and that was starring
Oh,
you
yeah.
and
Yeah, my
Dylan
favorite part.
McRooney.
No,
Okay,
it's Dermot
thanks
Mulroney.
for yeah,
No,
they
it's
do,
okay.
right?
They get mixed up
Yeah.
all the
How was
time.
that?
Yeah, Dermot.
Tell us about it.
Oh my God, it was amazing. And well, the most amazing part actually really well, not the most amazing, but one of the most amazing was when I was 9 years old, I worked on my very first ever movie. And Jake
Oh my.
Busey was the star of that movie. And Jake Busey sat down at lunch. I sat down right next to him, and he said, "What do you want to do when you get older?" And I said, "Oh, I want to do what you do. I want to be an actor." And he says, "Well, I cannot wait to work with you one day." Now, fast forward to Dead of Night, my first SAG project, my first, time working with A-list celebrities, really amazing actors like Dermot, and I find out that Jake Busey is going to be in this movie, and not only that, he's going to play my husband.
That's incredible.
I know. It was amazing seeing him on set. We chatted, and he immediately remembered who I was. Surprisingly, he's like, "Oh yeah, you were that chatty little 9-year-old."
He's
Yeah, it was totally full circle. It was amazing, and that just totally felt like a sign of
No, you're
that
definitely on
whatever.
the right
I'm on the
path,
right
and to
path
have Jake
here.
tell you that. I know Jake. I'm a friend of Jake. Yes, I do, and I've worked in a
You
couple of
know
movies
Jake?
with him. He's
Oh
he's
my
an
God.
incredible actor, great guy. I know Jake. I know Jake's mom. I know the whole Busey family. And then his little brother, as you
That's
know now, is an
great.
actor as well. And they're just great people. They're wonderful people. So
Hmm.
I'm
We had
glad
a
it was.
great time. We had a great
To
time.
work with him and to work with Dylan. I mean, these guys, yeah, they're
Dermot.
great. They're great actors to be working with. And so, is that how you
Yeah.
got your SAG card, or did you?
It was that project. So I had been SAG eligible for a while. I
Mm-hmm.
was in that sort of sweet spot. And then on my birthday, I got a call from Jeff saying, I'm sure he probably messed with me first at some point and then told me that they wanted me for this job. And then I probably cussed at him saying, no effing way. And then, yeah, from there, it was just like boom, boom, boom. That I didn't even audition for that, did I, Jeff?
I think they made
Or I
the
may have.
offer. They made an
Yeah, they
offer to
asked
you,
after
but
the
they
fact
wanted to
for a little
see
just,
what
they,
you would do with the role. So
yeah,
they did tape you, but they had already made an
now
offer.
it'd bring to it.
So
Yeah,
the only thing is, so
yeah,
I asked for a lot of money, and then
yeah.
you did the
It
tape
was,
for them, and they lowered their fee. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. The thing is, for the two Lifetime
see what
films,
I have
though,
to
she
put up
played the
with,
heroine.
Jeff?
She's like the person who saves the day, and then I believe in this one, I guess I can't say it,
Can't
Oh,
say
but
it.
she's not the heroine.
You can't say it. Well, well,
it's not out yet. It's
then,
not
Alex, if you
out
can't
yet.
say it, what can you say about
Yeah.
your role in the Western Wild West Chronicles? Talk about that
Mm.
one.
Oh my gosh. That was so much fun. That was my first period piece I ever did. It was my first on-screen kiss as well. And I learned a little bit about etiquette that day. Yeah. I don't know if I should say more about that. But no, it was fantastic. It was a great shoot up north of Los Angeles.
Tell her
Didn't get to
about the
ride any horses
little
that day,
white
but I
fib that
did
you
learn how to
told to get the
juggle for the
job.
role. Yes.
Uh-oh.
Listen, I am not going to go on
Yeah,
here and
don't do
tell other
that.
actors that they should put things on their resume that they can't do. Don't do that. But yeah, for this one, in the room, they asked me if I knew how to juggle, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I booked the job and I'm like, oh, snap. I better learn how to juggle quick. And yeah, you can apparently learn anything online. There's this website called professor.com or something like that. Literally, you could learn how to do origami over Zoom. And yeah,
Can
I
you
just worked
juggle
with a coach
origami?
every day
That's great.
until the job.
That would be a little difficult.
I no, I cannot, but I can
Okay.
juggle three
Do you have them there?
clementines. Thank you very much.
Watch your demo reel. You'll see
No,
her
in fact, I
juggling.
don't. Sorry,
Pretty
next
good.
Excellent.
podcast, Jeff.
That's right. That's right. But you talk about learning and all these things, and you can go to, we can all go to Google now and learn this and that, whatever. And you
Yeah.
actually have an Instagram page that helps people with self tape. Do you not? You still have that?
Oh my gosh. I do. I haven't been very active on it, but what I used to do when I first started out is I just wanted to become a master of like the commercial self-tape world. And then I started booking consistently. And then what was so neat for me and what I had seen other actors do is post like, here's my audition, here's the final product. And I
Yeah.
thought, man, that's so helpful. And then so I started doing that. I would post a little bit about what the breakdown said. Here's what the casting director said, and here's what I ended up doing. And a lot of times I hope you're okay with me saying this as a casting director, but I would take a lot of
Absolutely.
liberties and make things my own. I would leave in mistakes because sometimes that was the best, most real take. And that's, I think, what started booking is like I would just read the breakdown. I would go, okay, I'm going to do what they
Uh,
asked, but I'm going to
I
do it my way.
Oh, absolutely. I think
And
it's great.
I was
yeah,
going to say,
Yeah, I think it's
if I
great.
can
What
give
did you have
some
to
you
say,
do,
advice to
Stephanie?
Chris.
actors, most
Yeah,
important
please.
advice I can give them when you have an audition. There are three types of auditions basically. There's co-star auditions, there are guest star auditions, there's series regular or series recurring auditions. When you're doing a co-star audition, it's not a whole lot of material. It could be one line, it could be 1, 2 pages at most. But basically, your job as a co-star actor is to come in, deliver information to the stars of the show, and then get the hell out. So you're not at liberty to really ad lib a lot. You should not lib. You have one line, especially sitcoms, they don't want you to ad lib. Sometimes they
Sure.
say, okay, do a little bit. But generally, your job as a co star is to deliver lines. Don't paint outside the picture, to just deliver. I mean, be as real as possible, be in the moment, and be completely what or do exactly what they want you to do. That's the co-star world. In the guest star world, they want more, believe it or not, because you are now equal to the stars. The stars are still the series regulars, but you're moving the show around. The show is based around the stars and you. So when you're doing a guest star audition, it's okay to ad lib a little bit. It's okay to change it a little bit. If they don't want it, they'll tell you not to. But it's you still have to be real and you still have to be in the moment. But if you want to get the role, think outside the box a little bit. Then there's series regular auditions. And here's the most important thing when you come to a series regular audition. They know you can memorize lines. They don't give a rat's ass if you, yes, I swore there. Okay. Um, Alex warned me, he said, don't you dare
Oh,
swear. So they don't care if you memorize lines. They know you can memorize lines. So you have to think outside the box because what they're thinking about is, can I work with this person for the next 5 or 6 years? Series regulars is a 5 or 6 year contract when you sign it. So they want to know, can you bring something to the game? And I'm telling you, if it's a comedy and you make it 10% funnier, they'll fall in love with you. If it's more dramatic and you can make it more interesting, do it. Don't worry about the lines when it comes to series regular auditions. Bring something where they want to go. And if you ad lib, the writer will go, oh my God, I love that. I'm going to write that into the script. And they'll fall in love with you. And that's how you book series regular roles, is if you are different, if you are someone who is not just following the lines. So give yourself permission to break out. Which which brings us, I mean, to Alex's auditions. She generally, I mean, she does two, I mean, at least two takes. One take she'll do the lines the way that it's written, and then she'll do another take where she just breaks loose and does what she wants. And I'm telling you, almost every single time, this take that she breaks loose is the take that just blows you away.
Yeah.
Funny. It's
Olan.
interesting. I wonder what that is. What do you think it is, Jeff?
Me personally, I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody's
Mm-hmm.
different. I really just don't think there's any um, yeah, I just think it's every person is different. It's the way that they deliver it. It might be the look they have, how they're doing it. I think it's really hard to say. I don't think
Yeah.
there's no formula for this. Um, and that's why there are so many different ways, and there's so many different casting directors, so many different agents, so many different actors and actresses trying to make it and trying to come up with that little thing, like Jeff says about you, diamond in the rough. You are a really good actress, and I said that before, and I just know. I mean, I saw some of what you've done, and so I could just tell that
Thanks.
what he's saying is all correct, and Jeff got that from you from seeing you and talking to you from the beginning, um, and I do really believe that every audition that you do, you have to believe in it yourself, and you have to really believe that that's going to be the one. And there's I want to talk about that. How not to get down on yourself, right? Actors constantly. I was an actor. I got down on
Mm,
myself. I was terrible,
mm,
terrible with trying to memorize lines, and I would always go into the auditions. I would go into. I did a lot of soap opera work back in the day. Um, and I would get down on myself. Every time I would leave, I would get down on myself, and I'd go into the car. And what do? We get into our car, or we get into the bus or the train, and we start saying the line better, or at least we think we're saying it better, right? Why didn't I say it that way? So how not to get down on yourself, Jeff? How should actors not get down on yourself?
mm.
Alex, how do you not get down on yourself?
I love this question, Jeff, and I have an answer for it. And I've carried this with me since I first came back to acting, and I've carried it with me ever since. I have not experienced the thing in the car going over what I did. I've not experienced that because of
Wonderful.
the advice that I took. The minute the minute I hit submit, the minute I leave that office,
Yeah.
I say, it's done. And I literally forget about it. And so when I get the call from my agent saying that I've booked
Mm-hmm.
it, I have to go, which one? No matter how big, no matter how small, there are all rooms in that I want to go in and I want to book. But the minute I've done and I've done the work and I know I've done the
Mm-hmm.
work, I let it go. I have to. And another thing is making the process of the audition one that is fun and feels good. You have to fall in love with this whole process. Otherwise, this is going to be a long, forever journey. And so for me, those two things, I had to make sure we're going to be in line with my day to day because I don't want to suffer. I don't want to fall into those because I know and I do get down, especially in times of, but I get
Yeah.
down in times of slow periods. I'm like, man, what's happening? Is it me? And I try not to compare, right? But you see that your friends are auditioning, but it's to me those two things have made a world of a difference. I've never had a second thought about an audition that I've done because I literally just said, okay,
Yeah.
on to the
No,
next.
that's great saying that, and it's also what you said was, your friends are auditioning and they're going out one time after next, and you're looking, but
Yeah,
it's their time at that time, and it's going to be your time at that time another
that's right.
time, and that's the whole thing, and that's the whole
That's
thing
a good
about
point.
Jeff. I
That's a
think
good
you were
point.
stated somewhere. You said it's like winning the lottery. Because all of a sudden you're going to be hot for 3 4 auditions, and then you're not. And we're also dealing
Yeah,
with a really
yeah,
slower than usual town now in Los Angeles for sure. But things will change, things will pick up, and all that. But Jeff, how would you what would be the advice you would give those that are sitting around either waiting for the next gig, or how do they handle you know after doing an audition?
Well,
How
first,
should
let's
they
just go
handle
back a
that?
quick second for actors doing auditioning. Like you said, I've heard actors so many times telling me, I left it in the car. In the sports world, you leave it on the field. I've heard
Hmm.
actors say, "Oh, I left it in the car." I've heard that
Yeah.
so many times. Just remember, to all actors, when you do an audition,
Hmm.
remind
Really?
yourself, this is like a mini play. If you were going to do a play and you had an audience in front of you and they've just paid 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks to watch you in a play, you're going to perform for them. That's your job, to perform for them. Every time you do an audition, it's a play. And you've got people who've spent lots of money to watch you. So you better be ready to do your performance. And because even if it's one line and it's 30 seconds, it's a 30-second play or it's a 1 minute play. So if
Yeah.
you keep in mind that this is a play, um, first of all, you'll perform better. Um, for people who are waiting for roles, that's the biggest mistake in the world. First of all, for all actors out there, your agent
Yeah.
isn't there to get you work. Your agent is there to get you auditions and get you in front of casting directors. If you book a job, you booked it because of you and your talent, not because of the agent's talent. Your agent will help you out, but you it's just one tool in your bag. Think of it as a golf bag. Agent is one club. You have to get out there and do your own stuff. And if you're sitting around waiting for the phone to ring, find something else to do. It's just too difficult of a job. It there was a script that I wrote and is about a called Ruby Tuesday. It was about a young girl who wanted to be a filmmaker. Her whole goal, and she just didn't have any talent though. But she saw Francis Ford Coppola say in his documentary that he hopes someday. Um, that technology will reach the level where a little fat girl from Ohio will make a masterpiece with her dad's camcorder. Well, guess what? That period is now. Go out and get a camera. You're an actor. I'm sure you have friends who are actors. Go make your own film. Put it on YouTube. Every single studio has a department dedicated to watching YouTube videos to find the next person who might be the star. So go out with your friends. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money and do your own short films. It could be 1 minute long, it could be 15 minutes long. If you do your short films and they're really interesting, that is so much more interesting to the world and to yourself as an artist, to grow as an artist than sitting around and waiting for a phone. That's just a ridiculous thing to do.
Yeah, and it's so much easier nowadays, like you said. I mean, to do that, to get yourself out there, to work with friends. You could do it on a little phone. I think I said that in one of the previous podcasts here. And also for those of you like those are anybody who's like where you are, Alex, in this industry as far as actors, actresses. What do you feel about and maybe on all levels, but what do you feel about like casting director showcases and
Mm.
any kind of shows that you continuously will be working on?
Oh, I've done them. I've done showcases. I've done casting director workshops. I think they're really valuable. I learn something every single time. In fact, that's how I landed my first role, was
Hmm.
doing a casting
That's
directing
great. And
workshop.
you meet them, you meet the casting
Yes.
directors. They always see you. They may not have their role for you right
Yes.
away, but never know what's down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at them as another teacher, another tool to have as well. I mean, I think if you go in there with the thought and intention of getting a role, you maybe want to
Hmm.
check your reasoning a little bit. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's ideally that would be great, but what does this casting director have that's interesting that I can learn from? What I want to learn more about, what they like, what they think. And yeah, I've never had a casting director workshop
What
or
was
a
your most
showcase
favorite
that
role
I've ever
that you've
felt
ever
like, man,
done
that
and
was a
why?
waste of my time. Never felt like that.
That's my question. Yeah. What's your most favorite
My
role?
most favorite role? Oh, well, probably this most recent one, because it's so it's so unlike anything I've ever done, and it's so different than what I present as. And I think that's what makes it so good and so interesting. In fact, when I booked the role for Dead of Night, I asked the casting director, like in disbelief, like, why would I've booked it? I'm on set, and I'm like, why did you book me for this? I mean, I'm glad I'm here. I know I can do it, but why? And he said there was just something in your eye and it was the dichotomy of how you play this. I think you could also play that switch really well, and that is so fun to play with that switch. Oh yeah, it was just so fun, and a lot of practical effects on this horror film, so that was also
And
very
speaking
fun.
of that, what who would you like to work with? If you could just name anybody right now off the top of your head that you'd like to work with next, who would that be?
Anthony
Put it out there.
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Put it out there, Jeff.
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony.
Jeff, you've got some work
Definitely.
cut out for you.
I mean, he's still working and he's still putting out the most
Tony to
unbelievable
people who know
work.
him.
He's so
What
amazing.
about directors?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think
Yeah, but who doesn't know him? Who doesn't know
people
him?
people who know him.
What about directors?
No, I know. He's amazing.
Is there anyone that comes to mind?
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely J.J. Abrams. I've seen Lost now. I'm on my 7th time seeing Lost all the way through.
That's great.
So I just think he's a genius. He's a genius
Yeah.
writer, genius director. Yeah, J.J.
Jeff, do
Abrams,
you have to
for
have
sure.
do you have to have a great rapport with casting directors and directors in that, or do you? How do you work
It's
with them?
quite ironic, actually. I email casting directors every day. Once in a while, we pick up the phone and talk to them, but we're always in constant communication, and yet I have no idea what they look like. I've never met them. It's the funniest thing when you go to a party and someone introduces themselves as a casting director, and you go, "Oh my God, we've been talking for 3 years. That's what you look like." And they'll go, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh that's what you look like." Ooh, ee. So, yeah,
yeah. No, they don't do that. Come on. No, I know exactly how that is because even with me in casting, and sometimes I go out to my sets. I used to go out all the time, and I would go to meetings. But most of the time, a lot of us don't know each other. Unless you're on that crew and you're working constantly on that crew.
Mm.
Let me talk real quick because Alex, you started as a kid actor and you were out there. Although your professional career came along a lot later. Jeff and Alex, what kind of advice could both of you give to parents out there that are working with their kids now? And
Mm.
obviously the kids have really got to want to do it, but what kind of advice, let's start with you, Jeff, what
watch
kind of
Mhm.
out
advice would you
for
give to parents?
scams. The biggest thing is for children. There are a lot of
Hmm.
people who want to take your money and are full of crap and will say things like your child's the most brilliant thing in the world, and they're going to be big stars, and give me money and we'll get pictures taken and we'll get them coaching and we'll do everything we can as long as you keep giving me money. You got to watch out for that because it's for kids. They don't need a whole lot of pictures. They're changing all the time anyway, so you don't need full photo sessions. Coaching, yeah, if
Hmm.
they love it, I would put them into classes for acting, but more importantly is improv classes. If you put kids into comedy improv, one, they'll like it better. It's more fun, and they'll learn how to think on their feet. Like you said, they have to love this. If they love it, they'll want to do it.
Yeah.
As a parent, you can't push them, but you also have to know that you have to be available. There's every time they have a role, they have to have a guardian on the set. So you have to, if you're a two-parent family,
Hmm.
one of the parents are going to have to be there on the set while the other one does their work or whatever, and switch it off if they can. If you're a one-parent family, um, it's a little more difficult. You might have to have babysitters and stuff, especially if you have other children. So it's not easy, but if you find someone who is moral and ethical and all that, they'll lead you in the right direction without ripping you off. And that's the key, is to just be careful when you have
Yeah.
children. There are people there wanting to take advantage of you.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, that's so interesting because that's completely why my mother, even though she knew I wanted it, knew it was the ultimate dream. Anytime anyone would ask, "What do you want to do?" I want to be an actor. I wanted to do it. I would
Hmm.
have done it 24/7 if she would have let me,
Mm.
but she wouldn't let me. So I don't know if I have any advice, but my mom was real protective of my childhood. She was also
Yeah.
a single mom trying to make it. So, going to LA or helping me with that was probably really difficult. But I remember her saying when I was young, Alex, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. And I think, God, all those years of wanting it and
Hmm.
not being able to get it, instead of just being given it, taught me a really valuable lesson, which I learned at 18 again. Like, I really have to want this. Even if there's somebody in my face saying, you can't do it, well, I'm going to have to want it more than that. And so that's what my life
And
has
yet your
completely
mom
taught me,
let you
is that
live in a
I'm going to
van.
really have to
Yeah.
want it. Yeah. And I was I was 22. There was nothing she could do. In fact, she was happy for me. She thought it was
Growing
great.
pains.
She thought it was so cool. She thought it was cool. She was of the 60s,
Growing
70s.
pains,
She
and you've
got
done
it.
so much, and you're continuously doing another thing that you do. I mean, a couple of different things, but well, one in particular. In addition to acting, you also work as a development producer for Addiction House. And that, please
Yeah,
talk about
that's
that, because
yeah.
look, I look at you and you don't look. I mean, I know you got that Spanish descent, but you don't look. I mean, this kind of blew me away when I read it. So please talk about that a little bit. Tell us about this.
Yeah, of course. I don't know, 6 months ago, I started work at Addiction House. They're a Mexico based production company. They also have an office here in Los Angeles. They're wildly successful. They did their first ever scripted series on Amazon Prime, fully in Spanish. And I know what you're thinking. How is this widow white girl working for a company out of Mexico? Well, there is some Spanish blood in there, but that's not really why they hired me. They hired me in a developmental role. It is a newer position for me, but basically, I help bring in all the new work for the company. They're trying to bring in as many Latino based focus stories as possible. And so that means I'm reading 10 or so scripts a week, trying to bring in new projects for the company and specifically looking for that Latino based angle. It's amazing when you consider the percentage that Latinos make up for
Mhm.
butts and seats in the theater. So the idea is, with us, while amplifying Latino stories, also saying, let's give something to the people who are
Mm,
actually going to the
beautiful.
theater. And so that's what I do. I read scripts and I help see through the end of projects. It's amazing. I say to Jeff, I've been looking for this opportunity to feel like I'm neck deep in the industry, whereas before I was sort of waist deep. Now I'm just, yeah, I'm completely
That's
immersed. It's
great, and
amazing. I love
continue
it.
doing it, and
Yeah.
be successful at it. Another thing I just want to thank you for is for the. I know you don't do it anymore, but used to help dementia and Alzheimer's people. My mother
Hmm.
was in a facility, and I knew what all the help went through there to help those of us who have parents that are going through that right now. It's so tough. So thank you very much for the work that you used to do, and just being there, because you're incredible to be able to do that and work with people that have that disease. So
It's the
yeah,
hardest. It's the hardest thing. I mean, other than Parkinson's, I think is the most um, debilitating things, and at some
yeah,
point it becomes harder on the family than it does on the individual, and I've seen that. I mean, it was so hard, and we are no further to really figuring it out. I mean, there's little things
mm,
here and there about preventative measures, but yeah, I could
yeah.
just talk on a
Well, maybe I'll
soapbox
get
about
you on
that
that. Maybe we'll
all
do a
day.
show a little bit more about that, because there's also a lot of celebrities and a lot of people from that were actors and actresses and crew members and what have you, that are going through that right now. And we know a few. Obviously we know a few.
Yeah.
Um, we won't go into detail on that,
I
but
was going
maybe
to say,
another time. Jeff, I
isn't
have
that
one
the
more
worst thing
question
though in
for
the
you.
world
If you
about
would
her
Yeah.
though?
please,
I mean,
yeah,
she's talented, looks like she does, and She's nice. She's actually the nicest person around. Yeah, try that
Yeah,
again and
she's nice.
see if you work it again this week.
Yeah,
She-
try that again. No, it's amazing. It's amazing. But definitely, I want to have you both on again. We're just wrapping up a little bit on
Mhm.
time here. But Jeff, let me ask you, how
Sure.
important is it, and how long should a reel
Oh, demo
be
reel.
for any actor out there?
You do demo reel. You have three types of demo reels. One, you have a demo reel for Actors Access. Is Actors Access is the site where agents or managers submit you to casting directors. So whenever there's a show out there that they need someone or a movie, they put out what's called a breakdown. It's Breakdown Express for the agents and managers. It's called Actors Access for the actors. And you have to have a site on Actors Access. If you're starting out as an actor, you can submit to Actors Access or upload Actors Access and put two free photos up. If you're doing commercials, you're doing it for casting networks. And there's other sites too. But for Actors Access, you need a demo reel, which is under a minute. They're only going to look for 30 seconds anyway. So your demo reel
Mhm.
should be a minute long at most. However, then there's IMDb. You should be signed up for IMDb. There you can put a demo reel that's much longer. You can put a 2, 3, 4 minute demo reel because that's usually where the producers and directors will look at that stuff. So it's much longer. And then if you have your own web page, you can put up a demo reel, but I recommend you always break it up. Don't have a 5 minute demo reel. No one's going to watch it. It's always better to have a comedy demo reel and a dramatic demo reel. If you have that material, break it up. If your dramatic reel is too long, you have 4 minutes and you have maybe six different shows, break that up into two things. So keep it under 3 minutes for IMDb and your web page. Keep it under 1 minute if it's access.
Great, thank you, thank you. Um, Alex, where can people? I mean, besides Jeff, tell us what's going on with you. What do you do in the free time besides work with Jeff as an agent? What do you do in your free time? What do you like to do? What do you indulge in?
Oh, I love to go country dancing. I two step, and I teach two step country dancing.
Nice.
That's something I love to do. So if you're looking for lessons,
Have
Jeff's,
to go buy
anytime you can
boots.
find me at the Desert
There
Five
you
spot
go.
on a
There you
Saturday
go.
night.
So,
Um,
so
yeah, if
there you
you've
go.
got
So you're going
cowboy
to do a
boots.
little dancing, a little cowboy dancing, and
Yeah.
and some other things, I'm sure as well. And Jeff, where can potential clients
Um,
get in touch with you?
you should email Alex at her website. No, you can email me at jeffwolfman.frp@gmail.com. But if you're not, can say right now,
If you dare.
if you're non-union, it's not. You shouldn't come to me yet. You're not ready for me, and
Forget
you're not
it.
ready for our agency.
Right.
So I only
Not
look at
ready.
actors who are in SAG, AFTRA, or SAG eligible. That's the key to all young actors. If you're non-union, you're not going to get an agent. It's almost impossible. You can get a manager, like I said. Start off with a manager. They'll take non-union people. Agents generally won't. But if your homework as a young actor is become SAG eligible, which isn't as hard as it used to be. You could just do three background work and get three vouchers, or you can do one film, one SAG film. If you do college SAG films or SAG new media films, SAG low budget or ultra low budget. Just do one SAG project and you will be able to become SAG eligible. And then once you become SAG eligible, then agents will look at you because you can't get on a TV show if you're not in SAG. And so it's not worth an agent's time if you're not SAG eligible. They won't even look at you.
I want to Yeah, and I want to say something else. I want to clarify what Jeff just said about being a young actor. He's not talking about age because you could be an actor at any age whatsoever. He's talking about new people. new people who are entering into the industry, take his advice, take Alex's advice as an actress. You can't get better advice than having the people right here. I just want to thank both of you so very much. There's so much more that we could accomplish by continuously talking and giving out more information to people. Is there anything that I missed that either one of you want to maybe talk about right now? That's it. We're wrapped.
Oh,
No.
we haven't even gone into Alex's twin sister, evil twin sister.
I'm surprised.
We
I
no
don't know.
no
I'm
or her
making that up
triplet.
now.
No. Look. Uh, yeah, but
You honestly, Jeff, you covered all the really big topics for me. You were really
well, we
fast
have a
and
lot
really
to accomplish
thorough.
in just the short time that I have you guys, and I really appreciate your guys' time. And I know my
Yes, of course.
audience is going to love this, especially the actors or those who want to learn how the business is done, or anybody who wants to maybe become an agent
Yeah.
or a manager or a casting director or an actress. I mean, I
Mm.
think we did cover quite a bit, and there's so much more. So, I
Yes.
want to thank both of you very, very much for coming on Rolling with Olan. I want to thank everybody out there. Thank you again for Rolling with Olan. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace out.
Bye.
See him.